This is problem 8.5, and I've had a couple of emails asking how the heck that worksheet works or how the template works. And it is an extensive problem, so I'm going to kind of take this step by step. What I have is very first calculation they want you to make. This is for FIFO periodic. Wow, where do you start? Okay, this is the information they give you right here. That's the beginning, okay? That's what they give you. Then they tell you the costs, which are right here, and I put them in this table. So what you need to do is, the very first thing, figure out the ending inventory quantities. So to do that, we have April and May. We have 2 months going. The beginning inventory for April is a given, is 400. They purchased 300. There's 100. There's 200 and 300. So they purchased 300, and they sold 150. So that means 400 plus 300 minus 150 leaves 550 in the ending inventory. That's quantity. Now, let's look at May while we're on this track. So the ending inventory in April becomes the beginning inventory in May. So how much did they purchase in May? Well, we've got 250, and that looks like it's it. And how much did we sell? We sold 350, so it's 350. So the calculation is 550 plus 250 minus 350, so we have a quantity of 450 left. These are quantities. And it would be wonderful if we could just assign a price to that and be done with it. But we can't, and this is FIFO periodic, which means they don't keep track of the inventory as they go through the month. They wait until they get into the end, and everything is completed. So what you have to do is create a table off of this one. And let's just kind of walk through this. They sold 150. Well, that means they're taking out the very first, their very first purchases. So we had a balance of 400 at $5, right? So that means we take 150 of these, and they sold them in one thing. So we took 150 of the first product, and we sold it. How many are left? Okay, we've used 150. There's 250 left. The cost of the 150 is 150 times 5. They give you that number, which is $1,250. And I'm not looking at that right. 150 times $5, I'm sorry, is 750. That's what that. So that 150 becomes your cost of goods sold, okay? And so that number, now just keep this in the back of your head. 150 times $5 is $750. And that's your cost of goods sold. So hang on to that. But what they ask you is, what is the ending inventory? So to find that ending inventory, because I only have a quantity, I don't have a valuation. I don't know what's valued at. So I have to figure out what's left, right? So I've taken 150 out of that 400. So that means I have 250 in the first layer. And that first layer cost $5. The second layer I purchased at $200, or 200 of them, at $550. So that multiplies out to be $1,100. And they purchased one more set, 100. So that's your third layer. So that's 100 at $575. And that's $575. If we add that up, we find out the ending inventory is $2,950. All right. So now you can calculate the cost of goods sold. So we started with 200, which was his 400 at $5. We purchased 1675, which is this and this added together. And we had an ending inventory of $29.25. Now if you take 2,000 plus 1675 minus ending inventory $29.95, you find out your cost of goods sold is $750. And that matches what I just calculated when we first started off at 150. This shows you step by step what is going on. And here's your inventory right here because I've added it up. And so let's do May. In May, we had an ending inventory of $550. That becomes our beginning inventory of $29.50. So just put that in there right now. We purchased 250 at $550. So I added a layer here. I've got 250, and that was for $13.75. And then I sold a bunch. I sold 300 and I sold 50. So 300, where does that go to? Okay, so now I have to go up to these layers I had laid out, these layers right here, and I have to start removing stuff. So I had 250 here. After I apply that 250, I have 0 left. That layer's gone. And that leaves 100 left. So we sold 350. So I took that layer out, and now I have 100 to come out of the second layer. This layer right here of 200. So I'm going to take that out. So now I have 100 left. So these are the layers I have left for the inventory for May. So I'm going to drop those down. I have 100 at $550. I have 100 at $575. And I have 250 at $550. And I bring the numbers with it. And that means this would be my ending inventory for May, which is $2,500. So now I can calculate my cost of goods sold using these numbers. The other way I could do that cost of goods sold would be I had 250 at $5, is that correct? And I had 100, where was I? 100 I used at $550. We're going to double check this and make sure our calculations come out right. Well, that was odd. I must have just typed that in. Sorry about that, guys. We need to do that times this. And that's 750. And now I can... So this tells me my cost of goods sold should be $1,800 when I get all done. So that's the number we're shooting for, just by taking them out of the layers up here. So let's bring this down. We've got my layers. My ending inventory is $2,500. So now my beginning inventory was $29.25. My purchases were $13.75. And my ending inventory is $2,500. So this plus this minus this equals cost of goods sold. Boom, they agree. So that's how you do FIFO periodic. Now I'm going to stop this, and then I'll come back and show you how to do FIFO perpetual.